some like underground like dance party like underneath a bank in Wall Street. And we were all rolling, we were all taking Molly.
Check out the links in the description for my favorite apparel, Bibles, books, commentaries, and more. Howdy, y'all. I'm Brylan. In an absolutely wild story, check this out. The New York City Democrat Mayor Eric Adams was just indicted in federal corruption case. He's going to be the very first New York mayor to be charged with a crime while still in office. Because, usually they wait until they're out of office for that kind of thing. The New York Times reported that the indictment remains under seal and is unclear what charges he faces. Now, all of this is breaking news, by the way. This is just happening right before our very eyes, and they just unsealed the indictment. Hey, real quick, would you hit that thumbs up button? When you like this video, to get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. And the charges are bribery and conspiracy. Federal prosecutors in Manhattan say he solicited foreign contributions to fuel his political career. You don't say. And this all comes on the heel as Zelensky was just touring an ammunition factory in Pennsylvania, but I guess that's different. This is what Adams had to say. He said, "I always knew that if I stood my ground for New Yorkers, that I would be a target, and a target I became." Adams said in a statement, "If I am charged, I am innocent, and I will fight this with every ounce of my strength and spirit." That's a very typical response. That's what you'd expect someone in his position to say. But remember, the left, and Eric Adams is an absolute crazed leftist. Don't forget that. Remember, their new standards are guilty until proven innocent. It's funny because when they're put in the position of being innocent until proven guilty, then suddenly that matters because it's their butts on the line, not yours, not the average American. So some of the details of what actually happened, it says the investigation had initially centered around whether he conspired with the Turkish government to funnel illegal foreign contributions to his campaign in exchange for actions that he took as mayor. Investigators were also looking at whether he got free flight upgrades from an airline owned by the Turkish government. Okay, he got first class seats. But that's not where it ends. I don't think Turkey is the end of the story, because the Times reported earlier this week that prosecutors subpoenaed City Hall, Adams, and his campaign 2 months ago for additional information related to, you guessed it, China, but also Qatar, Uzbekistan, South Korea, and Israel. Now, there's been a slew of Eric Adams' aides and staff and just basically anybody involved with Eric Adams getting just absolutely demolished lately, getting probed by the FBI, their homes getting raided, their phones getting seized, all kinds of things happening. In fact, you've essentially seen an entire family taken down. The FBI executed search warrants earlier this month at the home of Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, Philip Banks, and a home shared. So he shared this home with the first Deputy Mayor, Sheena Wright, and School Chancellor David Banks, his brother. But that's not the last Banks, because also Terrence Banks, the brother of Philip Banks and David Banks, was also searched. But investigators also seized the phones belonging to the New York Commissioner, Edward Cabin, and Timothy Pearson, a senior advisor to the mayor. But it doesn't stop there, because the feds raided the homes of Adams' Director of Asian Affairs, Winnie Greco, earlier this year as part of a criminal probe run by the Eastern District of New York. The Times said his former buildings commissioner, Eric Ulrich, faces bribery charges. It just doesn't end. The whole thing is corrupt. But we're all sitting around like we're supposed to be surprised that these corrupt politicians are corrupt? Now here's one politician that's definitely not corrupt. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, "I do not see how Mayor Adams can continue governing New York City. The flood of resignations and vacancies are threatening government function." How was the government functioning before this? Was it good? Was it up to your standard, Ocasio? Cortez? Non-stop investigations will make it impossible to recruit and retain a qualified administration. Okay. For the good of the city, he should resign. I mean, I think we all agree on this. He should absolutely resign, but not just for the reasons that Ocasio-Cortez says he should resign. We're going to look at some of the other reasons, I think just as important reasons that he should resign. But first, let's look at some of these comments here. That's like the pot calling the kettle black. That's very true. I like how Mark Lobliner says, sounds racist. And of course, I don't see how Democrats could continue governing anything in this country. Well, what they don't want you to know is that the reason these charges are being brought is because, well, Eric Adams is a puppet. And there was, other people's lives above Eric Adams were at stake here. So Eric Adams is the fall man and his entire team and everybody involved in this. But they couldn't take the chance of this affecting the puppet masters. So they stepped in and are now doing their duty of removing the corruption so that they can replace the corruption. Now, Adams shouldn't just be held accountable for bribery and doing one of the most un-American things you can do as someone who swore an oath to put America first and protect America's interest, and that's being funneled money by foreign governments to do their bidding. But, this is poetic justice in a way, because he should also be held accountable for forcing lockdowns during co-fraud that ruined people's lives, for forcing the jab, otherwise you lose your livelihood and your ability to take care of your family and survive, for all the nursing home lives that were lost during co-fraud, forcing the LGB agenda and twansing the kids in schools, also decriminalizing crime and making New York one of the most unsafe places in America, for fueling the BLM riots that caused massive destruction, and for ignoring American citizens and veterans who desperately need help, and instead giving that help in thousands upon thousands of dollars, free housing, free schooling, free supplies, free everything to illegal immigrants. Adams is a radical leftist, and their agenda is to destroy the very fabric of America. And that's what you're seeing happen. This is Jay Varna, who was the co-fraud czar in New York, and he was a part of the New York's mayor's office. He was a part of making the decisions about how people's lives would be absolutely ruined during co-fraud. And, well, he got caught saying this.
I actually was the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate.
Like, New York City found out that you were having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah, it would have been a big deal. Yeah, it would have been a real deal. We went to some, underground, dance party, underneath a bank in Wall Street. And we were all rolling, we were all taking Molly, and everybody was high. And I was so happy, because I hadn't done that in, a year and a half, a year or whatever. And but I was looking around being like, I wonder if the PCs are going to do it. Because this was not the only way I could do this job for the city was if I had some way to blow off steam every morning.
This was the former senior advisor for public health, the man who admitted to putting in the mandatory lockdowns during co-fraud. And he admits, just like when Gavin Newsom in California was caught at the French Laundry during co-fraud, he forced everybody to stay in their homes. You couldn't go visit your family in the hospital. You couldn't go to your job to earn a living. You couldn't run your business if you had one. You couldn't go to church. You couldn't have family over at your house. You couldn't even sing too loud. Yet it is people like this who have power over you. That's how they see it, as power over you. Even though government works for us, we've kind of forgotten that. They are employees of us, the American people. Yet they take this and use it as power over you and make decisions that can destroy your life in seconds. All the while, behind the scenes, they are at these sex parties underneath banks on Wall Street, while everybody else is stuck in their homes, because they know that what they were doing was just exercising their control over you. They know that they were overstating what was happening, what was going on, so that you would fall in line and they would have more and more control. That's what it comes down to. So yeah, Eric Adams, Jay Varna, all these people on Eric Adams' team should be investigated and should be held accountable to not just bribery and things like that, but for the crimes of destroying the lives of American citizens. I want you to check this out real quick. This is Matthew chapter 15. This is when Jesus was confronted by the Pharisees for disciples not washing their hands and defiling and not, doing things the proper way, in the way that they have set up and commanded that things be done above honoring God. It is them trying to be honored and stay honored and have control. And Jesus threatens their control, and that's one of the reasons they hated Jesus so much. But Jesus talks about what truly defiles a person. Listen to this. Verse 10, "And he called the people to him and said to them, 'Hear and understand. It is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth. This defiles a person.' Then the disciples came and said to him, 'Do you know that the Pharisees were offended when they heard this saying?' He answered, 'Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be rooted up. Let them alone. They are blind guides. And if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit.'" That is what you're seeing today. You are seeing the blind leading the blind. And they're not just blind, like outside of their own control, but we have created this atmosphere and fallen for this belief today that being blind to what's going on and not paying attention, being ignorant to it, not allowing ourselves to truly know the evil that is overtaking our society, like that's a virtuous thing. Like that's a good thing to not know what's going on, to stay out of it, to not speak up for truth, to allow evil to take over. That is not a virtuous thing. That is a wicked thing. And too many Christians today have sat back and watched all this take place, and they think that they're doing the right thing. And that is not the case whatsoever. All you are doing is allowing yourself to be purposely blinded to what's going on and then led by those who are blind. And, that's what's happening in our society today. But you also see that, you look at the left, they are the blind leading the blind, absolutely. And you're seeing them fall into a major pit right now. This isn't Jesus talking about the left in America today, but this can be used as an example of what the blind leading the blind does. You will fall into a pit and be destroyed. So let's pray that God would bless our nation and give us the courage to stand on truth and not give in to this evil. But hey, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, join this community. I would love to hear from you on a regular basis. And please hit that thumbs up button as well. When you like this video, it'll get pushed out to more people and it would really help spread the truth. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.